Hey, it's Steve. In this video, we're going to take a look at 4 different battery-powered train controllers that are a great option for your smaller N and Z scale layouts, but you can also use these to run HO scale equipment as well. It's just not going to power them for as long a period of time. So there's 3 here I have from Rokuhan. There's this base one that I typically get that has just direction, speed, on, off. You can also connect accessories to power turnouts and that kind of thing. And then I have their larger RC03 controller. This one has still the same direction on-off speed controls, but it also can power 2 turnouts, and it has the switches for those built into the controller. So if you by chance have a small layout with 2 turnouts, this is a great option. Also, if you have a switching layout, like a small ingle nook that has 2 turnouts, this is a great option as well. Everything is built in terms of your controls, and so it will work really well for you. Then I have this small Shorty controller, this RC004 one. This one puts out less voltage, and it's designed for some of the really small N and Z scale locomotives, kind of like those pocket line ones you would see from Kato. So these are an option to use in some cases, but certainly you're going to have less flexibility with this one. Basically, you get 3 speed settings and direction control, and that's it. Finally, I have this blue line snail controller. This one runs off a 9-volt battery. And you do have speed and direction controls as well as a start-stop button. And this one works really well as well. And you do have a nice hand controller, and so it can be a little bit more pleasing to use in terms of having the controller that you can hold in your hand versus a larger one, which will be kind of sitting on your layout or on a bench or something like that. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start with these 2 Rokuhan ones here. The smaller one is powered by 8 AAA batteries. The larger one is powered by 8 AA batteries. And so as a result, this one is going to have more total power capacity in terms of milliamp hours. And so this one will power a train for longer. The reason it has AA batteries is, one, it's bigger, it has room for it, but also it's going to power the turnouts. And so this way, if you are throwing the turnouts a lot, you're going to have a short burst of high power, you're going to get a longer runtime than if you had the AAA batteries. And so that is one advantage. If you just have a need for more runtime, even if you don't need the switch controls, this one will give you that because of the AA batteries. Now, if you use standard alkaline batteries, you're going to get a pretty good runtime. If you use lithium batteries, you're going to get 3 times probably the runtime. Certainly, if you do plan on going this route, consider getting rechargeable AA or AAA batteries if you do plan to use them as your kind of primary controllers. We'll start off with this Rokuhan one here. This is the connector for Z-scale track, which we're not going to use. Don't need the directions. One nice feature about these Rokuhan controllers is that if you have Kato Unitrack, you can take the regular power adapter that comes with the Kato power supply tracks or the rail joiners that have the power leads on them, and they will fit in these Rokuhan controllers. It's a little bit of a snap kind of fit in there, but that does give you the option to power your track without any modifications to the wiring whatsoever. Now there is a compartment here, again, that holds the 8 AAA batteries. There we go. Okay, so then we're basically ready to go. So we just have the on switch here. With the green light, you're ready to go. If you don't see the green light because you've had a short or something like that, this will be off, and then you can basically turn it off and on, and that will reset the breaker that's inside of here. Now, this controller does only output 10 volts DC maximum, and so that is going to give you reduced speed on your N or HO scale locomotives versus what you would normally have if you had a regular DC power supply. But for the most part, that doesn't really matter unless you're wanting to run your trains really fast. You don't really need more than 10 volts anyway. So it does still work great for N scale trains. But if you do want to have trains really flying around really fast, this isn't going to be able to do that for you. Anyway, the controller is pretty simple. There's just a speed control here. And there is this little lever here, so you can actually control if you want your top speed to be here, you can push this little lever here, and that'll kind of give you a max speed there if you want that. Now, I haven't cleaned the track or anything here, but this is sort of the max speed with these two little locomotives here. You can kind of see how that looks like. Just change directions. Go max speed again here. And so you can see this is a nice option. A lot of applications for these, especially for small, compact layouts where you don't necessarily have a permanent installation. These battery power controllers can be a nice option for sure. So I've never purchased one of these bigger control units before, so I'm not sure exactly what's in here. This one is just filler and the adapter for Z-scale track, which again, we're not going to use. And again, we're not going to use the directions. Take this unit out, and you can see, comparing these, that it's really actually slightly more than twice as big as this unit here. The control knob is bigger. All the switches are bigger. You do have a larger on-off switch, and you do have these two direction switches for your turnouts. On here, you see that you do have actually 3 plugs. You have the output for the track. You have an accessory output for powering whatever you want. And then you have 2 plugs for your turnouts, and then you have a DC power in. And this one also has a DC power in as well. So if you don't want to use the batteries, you can buy an AC adapter that outputs 10 volts DC, plug it in here, and you can power this with wall power. Now, the nice thing about both of these is that if you do have batteries inside them, you don't have to take those out. Just plug it into the wall power. It will automatically bypass the batteries and use the wall power. So this is really the main reason why I love these controllers for small portable layouts, because when you're next to an outlet, just go ahead and plug it in. And then when you're somewhere away from an outlet, it doesn't matter. Everything still works because you have the battery power for backup as well. So really nice overall controllers because of that. So we'll go ahead and see if we can figure out how to open up this one here so I can get the batteries installed. And there seems to be a little thing here that maybe you have to push. I'm not sure. I'm sure the directions would show me how to do this, but we're not going to use the directions, are we? No, we're not. And then this lifts up. All right. And then here the battery holder is attached permanently. I do appreciate this design though, where you have a little button to push to slide the door instead of having a screw there, because I really hate it when battery compartments have a screw that you have to remove. A lot of times you need to change the batteries, you don't have a screwdriver. And I understand it's just for a safety reason so kids aren't pounding down those tasty batteries, but it is really annoying to have that screw there, and having this design here with a little push button makes it hard for a kid to open up this battery compartment, and you still have a way to get them out fairly easily. Anyway, this is going to work the same as this controller here. If I can get the plug undone, you can just plug in your power there, turn things on. You have the green light when you're good. Presumably if you short something out, you'll have a red light appear here, and then you can just select your direction and your speed, and you're going to have basically the same result. You do seem to have a slightly faster max speed potentially. I'm not sure if that's actually the case, but seems to be the case. The plugs in here do not have a little pin on top, and so I'll have to cut these off. These little this little clip here that helps hold it in place. So I'm going to cut that off, and we'll see what happens. I've never done this before. I do not know if they are going to fit. All right, so they don't fit exactly, but I feel like it will fit if I get creative here. So we're gonna go ahead and shave this squarish plug a little bit and see if we can make something work. The Kato one has the same plug for the turnout as it does for the track power, pretty much. And so one side is kind of square, one side's round. So we'll see if a little shaving will get us to where we want to be in terms of a fit. All right, we got it to go in far enough, and you can see here, hopefully, that it does in fact control to turn out very nicely. So that's a lot of fun. So I'll definitely have to go ahead and use this for a small project layout, maybe another angle nook design, because having everything in here like this is pretty handy to have 2 turnout controls. And you can obviously plug in additional ones on the side and actually have as many as you want. But having everything controlled like that is pretty nice from one controller. Okay, so there's 2 controller options for you to consider. Next we have this little Shorty controller. This one's hardwired, unfortunately, so that's kind of a pain in the butt. And the blue line controller just has regular wires because obviously it's designed for any kind of application you might have. And so we have reached the point in this video where I have to go ahead and start cutting wires. So we'll go ahead and strip these, make a disastrous mess of that one, cut it off again. Already got some exposed wires. Cut this plug. Be sad that it's gone and left us. Oh, there we go. All right, nice little sliding battery door. We need 2 AA batteries. Obviously, you're not going to get the runtime with this that you would with another controller. You do have an off direction control and 3 speed settings. And the middle one is like really hard to get. It's like you can go minimum, maximum, and then it's like, it's really hard to get to the middle one because it goes from max to min so easy. Anyway, we'll go forward here, go to max, and you're not going to be winning any races with this controller. Again, these are designed for the pocket line type locomotives that don't use as much power. And so this is an option for some situations, and this is fine for this setup too. You're not going to get a lot of speed, but for a lot of cases, this speed here is going to be fine for regular operations. Kind of like the middle speed, going to off is actually kind of hard. It's like you go from one direction to the other, and getting in the middle takes a little bit of work. That's the second lowest speed. So pretty much in N scale, you're gonna have to be at max speed or nothing. So no speed control, but this might work for some applications where you just want to have a train run. You don't care about any kind of operations at all. So having just a single speed can be an option. But if you're just gonna have a single speed, you don't even need the controls really. All you need is something to plug in and give you 3 volts of power or whatever. The little battery adapter that you might have on some battery powered Christmas lights, use that. It has an on off switch, it'd probably work okay. But something to consider certainly if you do have a small layout and you want to have a nice little contained controller for those applications. So anyway, we'll go ahead and disconnect this one, grab our snail one, and figure out again how this one opens. I've used this little guy before. I like it a lot. It's just kind of fun to use because it is a handheld throttle. Do some quality electrical work here. Get these wires hooked up. There is direction control here and start and stop. Oh, my wires came undone. Again, quality electrical work sometimes fails. So in terms of speed control, again, it's a 9-volt battery. It probably puts out 9 volts or something close to it. You're going to get a similar speed control as you do with these Rokuhan ones. It's not quite as fast as this, I don't think. Similar to this one. But you do get pretty fine speed control with this control knob. And of course you have easy direction control. And this one is actually it's just nice to use for doing switching operations because you can just quickly change directions and so forth. So there does seem to be some momentum control built in as well. This one, like the Rokuhan ones, do also allow you to use an AC adapter if you want to do that. So anyway, if you are looking for a battery-powered control option for your small, ideally N or Z scale layout, these are some good options to consider. This one isn't really going to be very useful overall for most applications. The snail one is really nice from Blue Line if you do have a small switching layout that you want to have, unit you can use in your hand. And these other ones can also be handheld in a sense, but they're obviously bigger and heavier. But this one here is really nice in terms of having the longest, presumably the longest runtime, and the ability to control 2 turnouts as well. So if you do have that small 2 turnout Inglenook type layout, this can be a great option. Again, you do have to kind of shave away a little bit of the plug here for your Kato plugs if you do have an N-scale Kato layout before they'll fit into these plugs here. But the power plug will fit just fine. in the output here of this controller, as well as this one right here. So definitely these are probably my two favorite. I do like the fact that this one does use AA batteries, which will last a little bit longer, and does have at least some options for turnout control. But of course, this little one here is a lot smaller. It's cheaper as well, and it does still work really nicely and is great for a lot of small portable applications. So anyway, if you are in the market for a small portable battery powered supply for your layout, these are good options to consider. Now, I do have one last option to consider if you do have a need for battery powered control of your small portable layout. So the last option is to get something like this, which this is by Ego. This is an AC adapter that plugs into one of their batteries that I use for lawn tools. And you can plug anything in here that uses less than 150 watts. And so I've used this before to power all sorts of things, not just train stuff, but everything else. And so this can be an option as well. There's also all kinds of other battery packs that have AC, plug adapters on them that you could use to power a standard controller that you already have. So if you just want to have portable power, you might just get portable power and not have a battery powered adapter by itself. But obviously, this is a lot of extra bulk to carry around, even if you do have a smaller one than this. And certainly this is a lot more convenient to have something that is self-contained and battery powered in this manner here. So again, these are some great options to consider if you are looking for battery power for your small portable layout. And I do recommend all of these except this one here on the end. And I will have some links below in the description to where you can pick these up. These are all available from ztrack.com. That's actually where I bought all three of these. But you can also, at least I think, find these two here on Amazon, and other retailers sell these as well. These I don't think are available anywhere else besides Z-Track, but certainly you might give a look at some of the other popular online hobby retailers and see if you can find this one or a similar option as well. So anyway, that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Bye.